Hi, let us understand about the JSP action tags useBean, setProperty, getProperty. Before using the useBean, we need to have a quick understanding on Java beans. Java beans are used to encapsulate the data as well as group the data together. Let us create a sample bean. Beans are nothing but it's a normal Java class where it's going to implement the serializable interface. Let me go ahead and create a new class. Let me have the package name as com.muthu for all and have the class name as my bean. Let me add the interface serializable and say finish. So I do have the template. Now let me go ahead and add the serial version ID. That's the requirement for implementing the bean as a serializable. That's a standard where any bean we need to have the implementation of serializable, and all the fields within the bean will be of private. I'm going to have three elements: username, salary and age. They will be of type string, float and integer respectively. Now I'm going to generate the getter and setter corresponding to it. An IDE facilitates us to generate the getter and setter. Let me go ahead and generate the getter and setter from the source menu. Generate getter and setter. Select age, salary and username. Say generate. So I will be having the getter and setters. Let me go ahead and have the elements in the beginning. So the getter and setter will be used to read the data as well as change the data. It will be having this particular syntax, that is the return type and then get. The first element will be of capital letter of the field and it will be returning the element, that is the private element. The same way I will be in a position to change the element using the set method. So every field will have its corresponding getter and setter. So we do have the bean. Let me go ahead and create a sample JSP. Let me name the JSP as action bean form.jsp. Let me change the title and let me add the form and the form elements. I'm going to have a form where I do have an action where it's going to get submitted to this specific JSP. I'll go ahead and create this JSP as well, and the method will be of type get. I do have the form element, username, salary, and I do have a radio button for the age group, and I do have a submit button. Whenever I'm using the submit button, the form will get submitted to this specific JSP. Now I need to go ahead and create this specific JSP. I'm renaming it. Let me change the title, and I need to use the action use bean, what bean I wanted to use. So I'll say JSP use bean and I will provide an ID. ID is like a variable to be used within this specific page, and what should be the scope of this particular bean. There are different scopes available like request, session. We will be discussing more about the different scopes when we are discussing about the session. Scope request, it will have the lifespan of this particular bean only for this specific request. And whenever the form getting submitted to this specific JSP, I wanted to set all the property, that is star, to this specific bean with the ID, my bean. So to this particular bean, all the property will be set. Once it is set, I will be in a position to read them. I can go ahead and set the property individually, or I can go ahead and set it using this wildcard star. I'm going to read the property one after the other, that is from what bean, that is the name of the bean and the property. So I'm using the property username, salary and age, the same as that is getting submitted using the form, username, salary and age. So I do have a bean where the data will get encapsulated and the entire bean will get submitted when I am submitting this particular JSP, and the property will be read and it will get set to this particular bean using the useBean tag and set property. And using the get property, I will be in a position to read the value. Here the code is more readable as we are not using any of the JSP expression and we are using everything as a tag. Let me go ahead and execute this action form JSP run on server. I do have the form. Let me submit the value. So the bean will get submitted, it will get processed, and the result is getting displayed. Most of the time we will be using the bean so that the code is readable as well as the data will get encapsulated within the bean, and handling the data as records, it will be much easier. Within the advanced topics of JSP, we will see how to handle the records, sessions and all other concepts so that the real benefit of bean can be realized. So in a quick summary, we had seen about JSP action tags, use bean, set property and get property.